But that's what taqwa is. That's why, there's a verse in the Quran that says, using the word. فَكَيْفَ تَتَّقُونَ إِن كَفَرْتُمْ. How can you hide and reject faith? Using the same word, taqwa. Right? Even the Prophet ﷺ was always reminded about taqwa of Allah. How many verses he says, ittaqullah. Oh, you believe, ittaqullah, haqqa taqati. Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu rabbakum. Have taqwa. One verse, Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu rabbakum, inna zalzalata sa'ati shay'un azim. The Prophet was in his tent. The verse came down. He said, oh, you people, have taqwa of your Lord, because barely the shaking of the hour of judgment is a terrible thing. And he didn't even finish, because Jibril had more verses to tell Rasulullah. But when he heard that, it scared him, and he ran outside the tent. He said, Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu rabbakum, inna zalzalata sa'ati shay'un azim. That's how heavy it hit it. How it hit the Prophet was something he was affected by the verses of the Quran. That's why he said, Ad-dabani rabbi wa ahsana ta'dibi. He says, my Lord taught me adab. I was raised by my Lord. I was cultured by my Lord, and he cultured me in a good way. Because in the Quran, that's what you see a lot of the verses. Allah tempering the Prophet ﷺ, and then the Prophet is just in turn turning it back to us, but you can see the humanity because he was a human being. About taqwa, staying focused. That's what this month is all about. This month, this really month, because Allah does give us certain benefits during the month, mashallah, we can fast. He ties up 7 rounds of shell-teen. He sends all kinds of butter, mashallah. I'm just, boy, I hope y'all getting y'all full. I'm trying to get mine. Take advantage of the month. This is the month of mercy. Take advantage, come to the masjid, feed the poor, do good to your family, whatever you gotta do, say good stuff, read Quran, whatever you gotta do. Don't let the month slide by without you enjoying this month of Ramadan. But the verse I mentioned in the beginning was in Surah Al-Ahzab. And what happened was this, the Prophet ﷺ, he was approached, this was in Medina, he was in Medina. And the beginning of Surah Al-Ahzab is considered to be, a revelation to Medina. Surah separate Medina, Mecca, Surah. And he was approached by some Meccans, namely 2 representatives, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira and Shayba ibn al-Rabi'ah, the 2 Meccan leaders. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, look, if you leave your message alone, if you just stop this dawah, this Tawheed business, if you stop it, we'll give you half of our wealth. Yes, I do. Serious proposition, because they were both wealthy. Dude comes here and give you half, break you off half his holdings. That was their offer. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then at the same time, he was getting pressured from the hypocrites in Medina and from the Yahud in Medina. He was getting pressured, and if you don't, take this offer, if you don't take it, they're gonna kill you anyway. Come on, man. You made your point. Take the money. Cause that's the time, any probably trying to come with a message and you buy them off, They do it now. Somebody comes with a strong message. Okay, fine, we heard you, Bob. You want a job? Yeah. Okay, come So Allah revealed the verse, يا أيها النبي اتق الله ولا تطع الكافرين والمنافقين إن الله كان عليما حكيما. He said, "Oh, you prophet, اتق الله, have taqwa of Allah, and don't follow, don't obey the kafirin, the unbelievers, or the munafiqeen. For verily, Allah is all-knowing and all-wise." And that's not the only time Allah warned the prophet, because, he's a human being. Not that he was considering anything, but if somebody come and tell you, "Gonna give you half," well, it's going to cross your mind a little bit. The prophet is a human being. So all throughout Quran, you can see how Allah tempers him and says, "No, don't follow that. Hey, if you follow that, I'm going to do this. Hey, leave them alone. Don't follow them." But then he said, this verse, he said, وَاتَّبِعْ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. He says, but instead, follow that which was revealed to you from your Lord. Follow the wahy. And see, this is where it's important for us as Muslims, because in your everyday life, we're always confronted with people's advice. You know how people give you advice? It can be sincere. It could be your family. Especially, be careful who you take advice from. Especially personal advice. Especially marital advice. Especially that kind of advice. Be careful, because people advise people all the time. And the advice, because see, when you're seeking advice, you get advice about something you really need. It's the right thing. And the advice, a lot of times, it's advice that's corruptive to your being. Especially personal relationships. "Oh, girl, you don't need to, so. You don't need to obey a man, girl. Brother, you ain't got this and that." Be careful. Just be careful, brothers and sisters, about the advice you get. But anyway, going back to the story. I'm fasting, so I might drift away a little bit. But it's all good, inshallah ta'ala. But, so Allah said to him, وَاتَّبِعْ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرًا. He says, but instead, follow what was inspired to you, revealed to you from your Lord. Verily, Allah is aware of all that you do. And this is what is important for us, brothers and sisters. In the light of anything else that we have to deal with, we should follow Scripture. Muslims, we have to get back into following the Quran, following the Sunnah, reading Quran. So that when we do get advice, because, I listen to stuff, I read stuff, too much of our philosophy, man, and our ideology is not based upon the Quran. I'm sorry. A lot of our philosophy, sisters and brothers, your thinking, your philosophy is based on sometimes modern psychology, modern trends, modern social, logical trends, your hood, your background, your girlfriend, your homie, your village, your tradition. And I'm telling you now, any of that disagrees and goes against Kitab and Sunnah is considered to be false. It's batil. And anybody can be affected by that. That's why Muslims are especially commanded to follow the book. I believe in Scripture. Muslims are especially commanded to follow the Quran, to judge by Quran, to live by Quran. And then you become Ahlul Quran, the people of the Quran. But he said to the Prophet, وَاتَّبِعْ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. He says, but instead follow what was revealed to you from your Lord. For verily, Allah is well acquainted with what you do. And in the last verse, of these 3 verses in the beginning of Surah Al-Ahzab, he says, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. He says, and depend upon Allah. And Allah is sufficient as your agent. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He commands us to obey Him and to follow His word. But also, He knows that we may encounter things in that path that maybe look dangerous. Or maybe somebody's going to say, well, if you do live right, you know, that's stupid, bro. Sister, don't tell your husband everything. That ain't cool. Or don't be faithful, brother. What she don't know won't work. You know, we get bad advice. But Allah always points us to not just obeying the Allah and His Messenger, but trusting in Allah. You have to trust. See, that's why He says to the Prophet, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. He said, and depend on Allah, and Allah is sufficient as an agent. Because, brothers and sisters, one of the things, the tools that helps us stay grounded in our faith is dependence on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After we move forward, you depend upon Allah. You know this is a decision I have to make. I gotta do this. This is the right thing. What we're saying, you do the good thing to do. You do that, and then you depend on Allah. No matter what you do, you depend upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brothers and sisters, this month, as we're learning taqwa, let's try to learn how to put our affairs in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O you who believe, اتق الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون." He says, have taqwa of Allah to the degree that's warranted, and don't die unless you die in a state of submission. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة. Let me see that card you got there. That joint look kind of fun. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منا والأموات وألف بين قلوبنا واجعل في قلوبنا الإيمان والحكمة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ونصلي ونسلم ونبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله عظيما يذكركم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة. الحمد لله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله